You are the host now.
Okay. All right. So a wonderful morning to everybody. And yes, as Bindu said, firstly, of course, a very big thanks to Bindu for having taken all the effort and has, to have formed this group. And I see the amazing dynamic traffic that moves through this, the kind of exchanges. And I am very enthused and encouraged that it's going to be of great help and support to so many of us. Because, there are these sayings that it takes a village or a community to rear a child and all. But we don't let it happen in real life, right? We make it a very personal, my child kind of thing. Sorry. Ankush, can you take this call, please, for me? I'm on a meeting. So take it. Thank you. So when we have a group that has so much to share, so much to understand about each other, I think the contributions to our parenting become so much more enriched. So thanks, Bindu. That's amazing. All right. Without much more to say, we could start off with, if anybody wants to know who I am and what I do, you're welcome to ask me. I think there was a bit of a message about me on the group. So just to summarize it further, I've been a professional teacher since 1987. It was my chosen profession. I make it a point of saying that because it's one of the personal sorrows that I bear in my heart, that it seems that teaching is now increasingly no longer a chosen profession. People are doing it, they're choosing it for various reasons, but I feel it's one of the most critical profession that should be by choice. Because, when you really want to be a teacher, you can be a teacher. Because being a teacher is not about teaching at all. That's what you discover along the way. So it was my chosen profession. I reveled in it from day one. And from day one, I was pushed into this project called the PIDE Project, 1987. You could look it up, in Delhi, which was one of the earliest enterprises formally to understand what mainstreaming of children with disabilities could be all about. So I became a part of the project. And that's how I entered into the world of a child who was different. And I think probably, Bindu, you better stay the whatever the host and all, because I am terrible with managing things.
I'll do that.
Right. And my takeaway from those early 2 years of being very closely working with families of children who were given admission to mainstream schools through the project was the terrible disregard of child rights when it comes to a child with a difference. Not that it was intentional, but I realized at that very early age of 22 years, I was at that time, that the rights were not understood because the child was not understood. The condition of the child was not understood. There were names, there were labels, there were diagnoses. That was the seed of parental stress, anxiety, fear. So from then on, my takeaway was that no matter where I work as a teacher, if I have a learner who is a different kind of a learner, then as a teacher, I need to make the effort.
One minute, ma'am. I'm not able to become the host again. Pratiksha, can you please?
Yeah. I think I've done it. Okay. So, so that's what I was saying, that it's the right of every child to belong. Now, belong where? Belong in what ways? What kind of an environment the child belongs to? Moderate that, modify that. But we cannot deny a child his or her right to belong. Because when we do that, not only do we do a very grave injustice to the child, but we are also creating numerous families who are going through extreme stress and anxiety. Definitely not what we need for an overall society's health. Okay, so having said that, I want to start with something today. I do not see most of you on video. If possible, do, Pratiksha, it's okay. Do come on videos so that, like, if it is okay with all of you. I'm going to start with about 10 minutes or so of this kind of a game. I'm going to ask you one question. So we'll go in for round 1, round 2, round 3. Let's see how many rounds we manage. The question is going to be the same for every round, but each member who answers has to come up with a different answer for every round. And I think we have about 15 participants. So we will kind of wait for about 15 responses. Any of you feel like you don't want to respond, that's totally fine. And if you want to pitch in and jump in and when the next round starts, you're most welcome. You can just jump in at any time. Okay, should we begin? Can I see some yeses or whatever?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, my question to all of you is, who are you? That's my question. Who are you? Okay, anybody can start answering. Bindu, can we begin with you?
That's a very heavy question. It's a very simple one. The first to my mind is I am Sri Ram's mother.
Okay. What about, carry on, each one of you, just pipe in with your answers. Who are you?
Meghna, please say it aloud, maybe, because we may not be checking the messages.
Oh yeah, okay. Is it coming in the messages?
Yeah, I'm no longer me. I'm only Aryan's mom now.
I feel like I have different roles. Professionally, I am a different person. At home, I am a different person.
Remember, the game is going into different rounds. So you just have to give one answer per round. Who are you? Shomu, you have to give all the medicines to Sasha. All of them. Go off. I'm in a meeting. I don't know. I'm in a meeting. Go off. My children will never grow up. Okay. Who are you? Come on. Somebody says Sri's mother. Somebody says Aryan's mother. Somebody said multiple roles. More answers need to come in. That's why, come on, speak out your answers. Let's be part of a spoken group. I'm terrible at technology. I can't read messages and all of that. Just...
Ritu, do you want to say what you have written? Ritu said I'm Ritu Rasi. That's just her name.
Okay, you're Ritu Rasi. Okay, fine. All right. Anybody else? I see lots of participants. Only 4 answers have come.
Yeah, I just identify myself like Sham. That's it. Like
Sham.
nothing.
Okay, you're Sham. Right. Okay. Round 1 going on. Round 1 going on. Any more answers coming? Come on. Who are you? That's your question. I'm Sri's mother. I'm Aryan's mother. I have multiple roles to play. I'm Ritu. I'm Sham. Come on. More. Don't try to be different. Just say it. Just say what comes to mind when you hear the answer. Who are you? That's it. Do we have any more in chat?
Yeah, there's one very confused
Somebody
person.
says, Rupa says, very confused person. Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I feel that I am a mother.
You're a mother. Okay. Okay. A few more seconds of round one. Who are you? Any more answers? Come on, I know it's Sunday morning. I know, late breakfast and all of that. But let's get cracking. Who are you?
I'm myself, ma'am, but sometimes I become a, most of the time I spend my time as a mother and as a wife. It goes on in daily routine.
Mother and wife. Okay.
Yeah.
Although you are yourself, but you see, you most of the
Yeah.
time are a mother and wife. Okay.
Responsibilities.
All right.
too.
Okay. Anybody else would want to say?
Srividya here. I am primarily, so that's mom. That's how I would define myself. But I'm also my most severe critic. So that's how I think of myself a lot.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. Fine. Great. For those who have already responded, we are now moving to round two. And for those who are still maybe thinking or wondering if it's whatever, okay to say something, I invite you to jump in at this round. We begin the second round of the game. Who are you? You can't repeat your answer.
Champa ma'am, I don't know if it's past tense, but I am an engineer.
You're an engineer. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Everything is okay in this meeting. Everything is okay. Like, I'm quite okay with like I'm a murderer or something like that also. So I am actually. So yeah, I'm an engineer is absolutely fine. Great. So you're Sri's mother and you're an engineer. Okay. Round two. Come on, peoples.
Yeah, maybe I am a selfish person, sometimes trying not to be selfish and trying to find a balance in between.
You think you're selfish, but you don't want to be selfish. So you're trying to find a balance. Okay. Who else? Come on, people. Who are you?
Anjana here. I think I'm a learner.
You're a learner. Okay.
Hi, I am Ritu here,
Mhm.
and presently I identify myself as a mother of Akshat, but I also enjoy my identity as a creative person. I enjoy whatever I do. So
Okay.
it's not that my identity revolves only as around my son or my husband. I
Okay.
enjoy whatever I do.
All right. That's nice. I think there's something in chat. I'm a super mom and also feel a guilty mother. Okay. Okay. How do you say your name? Is it Karpagavali or how do you say it? Could you say it for us? Or if somebody knows how to say Karpa's name. I tend to call her Karpa when I'm reading the messages because I'm not sure how the name.
It's Karpagavalli, ma'am.
Okay,
Karpagavalli.
Karpagavali is correct. Okay. All right. So you're a super mom and also feel a guilty mother. Okay. Bindu, please help. All right, fine. Something on the audio. It's okay, Karpa, as long as you're there. Okay, come on, people. Something more. So many have not even told me who they are. Right.
Question. Some few have joined just now.
Oh, okay, right. Those who have just come in, we are in a kind of game where I'm posing one question and we're trying to do different rounds. We are only in the second round as of now. The question is, who are you? You have to answer And every round that we move into, your answer has to be different. So we've had a few responses. So if anybody wants to, who's just joined, if you want to answer my question, who are you? No, there's dead silence. Most of the time, a stressed out mom, Salakshana. Okay, fine. Yes, that's who you are. Most of the time, a stressed out mom. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, there was not much of a, like say, a purpose to that, but it was more about making each one of us realize that it's really tough to know who we are. We start off with our names, wife, mother, profession, and of course, the parent dominates this group. The identity of the self within the parent role dominates us here. Most of us think of ourselves first as a mother or a father of some kid, and then maybe wife, husband, and professions seem to take a backseat in this group because many of us have actually left our active lines of work and we are more full-time parent, etc. And it was very interesting to hear some of the other responses which spoke about guilty mom, parent, stressed parent, full-time parent, etc. Somebody said they want to be a learner. Somebody said they're selfish. They don't want to be it. They're trying to find a balance. These are responses that reflect how, in a state of confused identity, we all are in. Not our fault. The role that we have been pitched into, that of parenting a child who comes across as different from the rest of the world, comes with a lot of loaded strings, really heavy iron strings. And there is no way but for us to find ways and means of making that load lighter than we think it is. Why I say we think, it's not a light load. Let's not stray from reality. It's an extremely challenging, extremely demanding role. There is no denying that. The world is rather busy finding pleasant or acceptable names, nomenclatures for our children, which is fine. That's okay. And that has happened because through the evolution of the use of some terms have just become associated with injustice, with insult. And so there is this large school of thought that we need to find the right names that respects everybody or that doesn't hurt, which is all fine. Do you know what? No matter what the name is, nothing changes. And who understands or experiences that the most? The parent. There comes a time when when you reach a stage of life, when you just get irritated with this focus of this world. The fundamentals of what our child needs or what we need are just getting, covered up somewhere. So look inwards. We are who we are, and we will do what we will do for ourselves. the more we expect the world around us to stand up for us, to take over, to understand, the more probably the disappointment, because it's not going to happen. And I prefer to work on a premise that nobody's doing it deliberately. It is just the fear of the unknown in them. They have no clue who we are, who our children are, what our life is, what happens every day when you get up in the morning and you have the whole day to go through. And then it turns out to be one of those bad days. Sometimes it's a good day. Nobody knows it. Not even the people you go to with your children for a short while. They're professionals. They work with your children. But lots of times, it's a very ordered, structured, clinical outlook. My role with the child is very defined. I'm a so-and-so therapist. I'm a so-and-so educator. I'm this, I'm that. The child is going to come to me for an hour, for 2 hours. And this is what I'm supposed to do with the child. Our children become like an anonymous mass. They are not individuals. And so we are not going to get that personal understanding and support from everyone. We might come across people who see us as individuals, who see us as mothers and fathers and daughters and sons, and relate to the behaviors, relate to what's happening, and understand all of that from the context of the individual that they are dealing with. But it doesn't happen most of the time. Now, because we are mothers and fathers to children who are battling mammoth challenges, for the last so many years, I have grown a huge sense of respect for children who have any kind of a challenge. A child who does not see, a child who does not hear. Imagine making sense of this world without the help of a major input channel. How do they even do it? How would I see this world if I could not see with my eyes? I have no clue. No clue. I have worked with quite a few children and families. The children who couldn't see, or children who were, as they now call, hearing impaired, who can't hear. But every time I would come home with the takeaway that, my God, hats off to this kid. And then I have the temerity to expect him to do, learn the things that I'm teaching him and all. That is arrogance beyond. First, I need to be able to live this world as that child is living, which is impossible. Even if I plug my ears, even if I blind myself with a blindfold, my intelligence, my cognition tells me that it's only temporary. I'm not living that life. I may try it as an experiment to understand. And so, our children who are on the spectrum, they are heroes at multiple levels. We know so much now. We have read the theories. We have been made to understand things from various experts. We know that the children on the spectrum have sensory challenges. Either it's too much or it's too less. Okay. What does that mean when you're living life like that? What does that really mean? So we have a lot of contrariness that has come into this management or I don't know what word to use, training, help, education. Now, while we understand that ASD means that there is this absolute dysregulation of incoming sensory signals. See, all of us, most basic neurology, neuroscience tells us that in our brain systems, we have a filtration system, which is why we are able to manage our responses to the inputs. Okay, so we, even as we sit here today and you're all probably looking at your screen, or maybe you're multitasking, maybe you're doing something else, you're listening to me, you're doing a million things, but you're also aware of a million other things in your environment that primarily your eyes and ears are bringing in. Maybe not so much taste and touch, but yes. But your filtration system is helping you to root out all the millions, trillions of inputs. That is kind of the biological work of the sensory organs, and to just keep that part which is important for this moment. And so you're probably able to kind of follow me, and you might deliberately go off for a while, but you are able to calibrate that. But there are brains that don't come with this filtration. And that is why we see in children all the things that they are labeled with. You know, tantrums, meltdowns, bad behavior, not listening, not following instructions. But you know what, parents? If we know that our children are getting millions of inputs every nanosecond, we need to give them time to figure it out. We are not ready to wait for things to happen. We also know that they have motor difficulties. So when we say, come here and sit down over here, we probably will have a child who will go all over the room, right out into the veranda. And then if we read that as, oh, this kid knows what to do, but is not doing it, and we kind of fix a route or something. When I say, come and sit here, this is what you do, we're actually torturing the child. And I use the word torture because that is what one of my students told me, who chose to remain non-speaking till he was 21. Then he went to the US to very high IQ. And he came back once, and he comes and meets me every time. I'm so grateful. And he sat in one rocking chair that he always had. He rocks, you know, back and forth. And he said, Champa auntie, you're the only sensible human being in this world. I said, oh, good. Thanks a million. Why do you say that? He said, you know what? Right. People all the time ask, how are you? And you know what, Champa auntie? They don't mean it. How stupid. What a waste of time. I said, I agree with you. What's the point of talking? I agree with you, I said. And then he recalled and recollected his memories of some sessions, stuff that he had gone through in his childhood. He remembered them in vivid detail. Vivid detail. I was thrown right down to what the teacher was wearing on, and this he's talking about some 15 years in the past, and he was a kid. And he said, Champa auntie, I was just trying to do what she was asking me to do, and I was doing it. She wouldn't wait. So most of what I have understood has come from the children themselves. And then I realized that as parents, a lot of our worries are not required. When we think of why is he not doing this? When will he start doing it? What will happen if she never learns this? We are burdening an already overwhelmed parenting role that we are in with a lot of unnecessary baggage.
Ashish, you have to know the art of expression, and you know how to talk. I mean, what to talk. You know, now you need to learn how to talk. How to talk is what you need to.
Okay. Right, exactly. We do need to know how to talk. And since we understand our children the best, that's a premise that we work on. If we have burnouts, then there's nobody left for our child. We cannot allow burnouts. So when we ask ourselves, who am I? We need to have at least 20 rounds of answers like that, because we are all of that. And a mother or a whatever is one of those answers. There is something very important for us to understand. It's a condition called neural fatigue, where the neurons of the brain get activated tremendously. So you should watch these videos on YouTube and all. You see that neural activity. They're so interesting. They're amazing. Where you have these colorful things going, the dendrites all into action. They're like little tiny fish tadpoles all running around. And the synapse happens and the learning happens. And the passage of one input passes through the neurons and some kind of a learning happens. But it is such high activity in the brain, chemical and electrical energy, that the neurons get tired very easily. And science has shown that when we subject the neurons to the same kind of input again and again and again, the fatigue is higher. So the neurons are not tired of working. They're just tired of working on the same thing again and again. And on a very large scale, as a mother or a father of a child, with whom we have to put in a lot more different kinds of efforts, we are subjecting our neurons to extreme fatigue by these questions that go round and round and round all the time. There is this conversation inside your heads. He's 7 years old. He's 9 years old. He still doesn't know ABCD. This happened, that happened. What will happen when I'm not there? What will happen? Oh, the neighbor said this, that happens. He's not going to school. Every other child goes to school. It's like a vicious merry-go-round. The only thing is it's not merry at all. All of you need to get out of that, step out of that merry-go-round, because it's not merry, like I said. And however merry a merry-go-round may be, you do tend to get dizzy after some time. And a dizzy-headed mother is not the best mother for any child. So when you make those lovely schedules for your children, I suggest you put in a 10-minute, a 15-minute, a half an hour, a 45-minute, depends from mother to mother, father to father, for yourself. And the guilt, the selfishness that we see, that those times that we may be taking off has to wear off with time. You are taking time for yourself so that you rejuvenate and come back with a bounce for your kid. At the end of the day, the time you are putting in the schedule for yourself is getting accrued and added to the quality of your service for your child. That's, I think, a sound investment to make. And no matter how impossible it may seem today, it's possible. You know, I had this, my husband was in the army. He took premature retirement some 10, 11 years ago. And he was commanding a regiment at that time. And one of our officers had a kid. He was then about 6, 7 years old, who'd had a terribly tragic accident. He had been playing as a 5-year-old, 4 or 5-year-old, and had fallen into an open manhole. And by the time he was taken out of there, taken to the hospital, he was actually declared dead on arrival. But one of the doctors kept at it, and he was revived. But he was totally, his brain was not functioning at all. So he lived the next about almost 7, 8 years as a complete paraplegic, as completely paralyzed. But there were so many indications to us that he understood things around him. So when my husband took over the unit, this had already happened. I already knew about it, and I was trying my best to support. And one of the first things we worked on, you can imagine the mother's plight. All of you can imagine. And the father has to do a job. It's an army job. No matter how much, compassion the Ministry of Defense shows, he still has to go and, even go out sometimes for months. And I could see the burnout that Shailaja was heading towards. She had an elder son, older one, just older by 2-3 years, who was going through immense throes of guilt because he was playing with his brother and had not been able to stop the fall. So all these. So we worked out, we experimented. What would happen if Shailaja left the room by the clock? We started with 1 minute. Shailaja never left that room. She was becoming gaunt. She was becoming a skeleton of herself. So we started with 1 minute. It took time. It took months. But thankfully, by the end of it, she realized that she could even go for a ladies' meet, which would be a good 1.5, 2 hours. And her baby would be fine. And when she came back, she was even more ready to be with him and do things for him. So that's a kind of an extreme case, but all of us are living this mother and father role every day. How long do you think we'll manage? The challenges of our children are not going to change. They are innate to our children. The sensory difficulties will remain for a lifetime. What will happen over a period of time, if we get it right, is that our children will get more empowered in understanding themselves and in accessing ways to manage themselves when they are facing, either by communicating about it, as I see in the group, many of the children are already doing it. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Which is why communication is the key. Not speaking, communication. I'm a language teacher. And language, speech, and communication are three very, very different components of a larger whole. They're not synonymous. So our focus in bringing up our children is empowerment, not only of our child, ourselves too. The very role that we play, where we perceive that our children will need an understanding presence in their life. And for most part, we are going to be that understanding presence. We need to create a community of other understanding presences, maybe siblings, maybe a community that we live in. But if we are not one of them, how are we going to create that? If we are going to be in that vicious go round in our head, what will happen, what will happen, what will happen? Today, maths, science, English, blah, 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 blah. All of those are, they are side dishes. They're not the staple. And for a good nutritious diet, you need the staple. The staple is empowerment. Empowerment of the parent to understand in the million facets of the condition. It's not just one thing. It's not just what the books say. It's not just what a theorist says. It's a whole lot of other things because it's very unique. So I understand. Then I build on my understanding. And I transfer my understanding to my child. Lots of times I have been so rewarded when I have told my non-speaking children that Champa aunty is sorry, but Champa aunty doesn't understand what happened just now. Can we both find a way of helping Champa aunty to understand? I mean, there would have been what the world calls a meltdown or whatever. I know my child was responding to something. Behaviors are responses, simple. They're nothing else. They don't have to be trained. Behavior doesn't have to be controlled and trained. It's communication. Behavior is telling us something. It is our, I don't want to use the word fault, but let's see, it's our weakness that we don't understand what's being told to us through our behavior all the time. And that, of course, frustrates the other individual. It would happen to us too if we were like frantically asking somebody to. And they were just looking everywhere and didn't know what to do. And we said, oh, I'm asking you to come here. It would happen to all of us. Behavior is communication. Behavior is response. We don't have to treat behavior. Behavior is not bad, good, or ugly. We have to understand behavior. What is that behavior telling us? So when there is that and falling down and hitting and slapping, taking my specs and throwing it away and giving me one tight slap on my face, I've got everything from my children. They're just telling me, auntie, I can't take this anymore. That's all that they're saying. And I'm telling them, I'm sorry, sweetheart, I don't know what it is that you can't take anymore. I need to understand. Can we find a way? And we do most of the time. We do find a way. And it's interesting for me to discover. Sometimes it's just the topic that I was reading on. Just, I had this child with whom we were doing some kind of comprehension kind of exercises. Again, high IQ. And one day it was an online class, which I don't really prefer, but that was the way it is with him sometimes. So we would type out stuff. And we'd had a very intense type chat where he said that I'm lonely. So I said, yes, I know that and I understand that. And I'm trying to figure out ways of how to help you with that. So he said that I want to make friends. And I typed out, I said, why don't you make friends? He said, I don't know how to. So I said, okay, then maybe let's do some experiments. And but for that, you'll have to step out of the house. So he said, I'm frightened. He typed it out. I said, yes, I get that too. So anyway, similar lines. And then I said, we are both getting a little upset with this. Shall we take a break? Shall we read something? He said, yes. And so I picked up some random piece and I started reading. It was some piece on some snake species. He liked facts. So I would just read something from a fact book in Africa or something like that. And suddenly he types, I don't like you anymore. And I was stumped. So I said, okay, I'm sure you have a reason for it. But so I was quite sure that that comment reflected something from the earlier conversation. So, and I was working on that premise and I said, I know maybe I was a little pushy and so he didn't respond. He just sat there. And after about 40 minutes, he just typed out one thing. I don't like snakes. I had made the wrong choice of the reading topic. Oh, so sorry. I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So then I told him, I said, look, if this ever happens again, you have a way. You just type stop. Don't like it. That's it. Just type that immediately. He said, okay. But it took us quite a few months for that to happen. I would declare to him, I would tell him that, we need to practice this. So I'm going to deliberately read something that will upset you. Just 2-3 lines for you to practice typing, stop, I don't like it. It took us, 7-8 months for that to happen. And he only explained to me later that when I don't like something, I get disoriented. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not able to do it. This happened quite some time back, and it's been the most precious learning for me as a teacher. We know so much about ASD, but we don't use our knowledge to understand our babies. We know that there is this sensory difficulty. We know there is a sense of getting overwhelmed. Why don't we understand that when somebody is overwhelmed, it's not easy for them to take the path of whatever we teach them, drink water, punch the punching bag, or Are Baba, nothing comes to the head at that time. We have to understand that. And we have to say it. We have to verbalize it. And we have to say it to ourselves first. Arey, my kid is not this tantrum ghost or whatever it is. My kid is, it's just that. And I tell him, touch him or whatever he prefers or she prefers. And I say, I get it. You are disoriented and overwhelmed. I'm going to wait. But I need to hold you because you're throwing things or you're hitting or. I mean, every mother and father can find their own way. What I mean is the principle of it. It's a terrible sight. I know. When you see your little one in that state. Tears running, snot running, breath coming in, gasps and everything. It's such a... I'm quite overwhelmed. It's a scary and... thank you. But that's part of the empowerment. We cannot allow ourselves to get overwhelmed by that. And why we can't allow ourselves? Because we need to understand what it is. It's very easy to understand. We know our kid, right? It's the moment. And when the world turns around and says, this kid needs behavior training or this kid needs to do that, we turn around and tell them, you need to know more about behavior. I'm sorry. But come to me, meet me, I'll tell you what that is. That's empowerment. I've had sessions with mothers and fathers, fun sessions, when we have worked out like these fiery dialogues to hit back. And the most effective, as many of the mothers come back and tell me, is when they turn to someone and say, I can see you're very curious about my kid. You're staring, but that's okay. That's okay. Let me tell you, my child has whatever, cerebral palsy, intellectual disability. My child has this, my child has that. And this is a part of the way that it shows up. If you want more, I can help you to understand this. But he's a happy, healthy kid. We talk of inclusion. We talk of bringing about, this equity in the world. Everybody will understand. How do they understand us? If we don't tell them, stop staring, start looking. As that tagline of Aditi's has stayed with me. Such a fantastic girl that is. Because it's been in my thoughts forever, and I've taught mothers to say it. Hey, stop staring. My kid is fine. Don't get scared by what he's doing. So yes, that's empowerment. And parallelly, we have to take very practical steps, parents, that will assure our cognitive minds that we are ensuring a secure future. The greatest question that goes is, what after me? We need to verbalize that question. We need to bring it out in the open. We need to hear our own voice saying it. And then we need to hear the answers. Not like today's silence when I said, who are you? What after me? We need to have concrete answers while we are in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. There are different ways, each to his own. So forgive me, I'll be sipping some tea. My throat's giving up. A family trust works well. It's on, you create it on the premise. It's a legal thing that in case it so happens that when your little one is an adult, but is probably not able to make decisions on, let's say, medical issues for the self or financial issues, then who does it? How do we make sure that the world doesn't take her or him for it, right? Family trust, obviously, parents are going to be on it to begin with. Ideally, somebody like 10 years on this side of your child's age and 10 years on the other side. So for many of your children, they're not even born yet. But you keep, it's dynamic. You can change the trust members, or you can add and mainly define that the trust is going to be, is there to take these specific kind of decisions if required. Investments for your babies. What kind of an income will come in? If all our children grew up to be able to do something that can be monetized, fine. That's okay. That's great. What if not? My son can't. Ankush is 29. He's a married man. My son and my daughter-in-law, who also is a person with special needs, have a beautiful relationship. So one of my questions of what after me is, who's going to be that person is now solved. They are with each other, and it's going to be a year on the 14th when they will be married. 14th will be their first anniversary. So I'm creating plans more and more of making this relationship as sure and certain as I can and as beautiful as I can. So we make arrangements for income, property, rent, I don't know, each to his own, something that comes in, and how does it come in, through where, find out from banks. Banks have these crazy, difficult to understand laws about account, who gets to use an account and who doesn't. It's a lot of homework, parents. A lot of homework. Nobody else to do it. So these are things we need to do. And you know what happens? As you practically get into these things and each thing kind of gets tied up, one file is done and there is a sense of, I'm doing things. And things are getting kind of falling into place and getting sorted out. Till that happens, it's that crazy go round in the head. So these are important things. Scheduling time for yourself. It can just be a walk. It can just be a cup of tea sitting on a chair in the veranda. But the difficult part is, those 10 minutes, you're thinking about yourself. You can indulge in memories. You can build on your future. My little one is getting kind of there. There is a schedule. What if I started something part-time? What if I started something from home? What if I got in with my friend who's doing this? What if I did something totally different? What if I blogged? What if I clicked photographs? I've always loved photography. What if I made a YouTube channel of my own with just the paintings that I do in my spare time or whatever? It's you and only you. 10 minutes a day? Good enough. Half an hour a day? Good enough. That's one thing. To ensure no burnout. The other thing is the time you actually spend with your baby. Log it. Every waking minute, take a week and log your time. I get up at this time. This is what I do with my child. Most of the time, you will be probably also surprised, many of you, if not all of you, you'll find that you're spending a lot of the time with your child in trying to teach her something. You're doing things with your child with the agenda that the child will learn something out of it. And I can guarantee you that is stressful for the child. You may say, ma'am, I'm not saying or asking the child to perform or show me. No. But the child knows. Our children are highly intuitive. Remember, they have sensory differences. Intuition is a sense. They sense fear in you. They sense disappointment in you. They sense guilt in you. Just as they sense confidence in you, they sense joy in you. They sense everything. We are transferring all our emotional experiences. And because they sense it, and because many of them are in and will be forever in the Gestalt language usage, their association of one sense, one experience will remain. You are concretizing things for them. You've got to diffuse, deflect. Something not learned, not done. Okay, fine, it's not happening today. We'll give it a shot next time. You know, one of the kids that I have with me now. So what happened was I was taken this place on rent where I do a very small homeschool program with very few children because we go very intensely with the families and everything. It's like a family thing. Unfortunately, just give me a minute, please. Yeah, so I was asked to vacate in the sense that they spiked the rent so much that's beyond me. So I very hurriedly had to find a different place. And I ended up with a place that was totally different. Like the earlier one was a sprawling 60-40 plot, big house. This one is a 20-30 duplex, all stairs and everything. And the first day my kid came and saw this place, he just kept saying, I want to go to Champa Auntie. So we're like, I am Champa Auntie. But of course, I understood that Champa Auntie was that place, the other place. And I said, sorry, sweetheart, that's locked up. I'm really sorry this happened and I did not get time to prepare you. But this is Champa Auntie and this place is Maya Kunj and this is where you'll be coming every day. And I anticipated and of course had a word with his mother also that, okay, give him time. Doesn't matter. It's okay. We'll make it happen. The very next day, our gentleman was quite fine. You know, he came and he kind of went over everything and I do a little bit of reading with him and I read things out and he sits and listens. He did his reading, he did his trampoline jumping, he went up and down the stairs, he went up to the terrace, he loved the terrace. And the wonders never cease. Here I had made a long plan in my diary. His IEP was full of these. This day I'm going to do this, slowly help him. And then I was so worried. Again, we are moving into a 15-day, 2-week Christmas holiday thing. I said, shut, not fair to this kid. The very next day, he was like, I said, wow. I mean, I wanted to put it in the wow Wednesday. It was just that with, so many things I was not. So you empower children. You deflect, you diffuse, you state what is. You validate them. First and foremost, when we are facing a challenge of, thanks, Karpa. I've got used to calling you Karpa in my head. So, yes, you go do your work, I'll do them. Exactly. So, when you validate your child and you say, sweetheart, I know you must be feeling like so confused in your head. Let's give it a shot. Let's try it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just go away from here. Try it some other day, or maybe we'll wait for it. You validate. You build that trust. You're the only one who's going to do it, by the way. When you send your child to that therapist or to that, I don't mean anything derogatory. I'm a teacher. You send the child to me. Then generally, the professional works from a thing that, these parents are paying me and it's my job and this kid has come to me. So I can't just let 1 hour go by with this kid, just whatever, trying to figure things out. But maybe that's what the child needs to figure things out, needs the time. So we validate our children and we validate their needs to ourselves. When we say, I know what ASD is, what ID is, what CP is, and I accept it. And then I spend 26 hours out of 24 in trying to train my child. I have not accepted it. I'm just walking the path to extreme frustration and burnout very soon. So we optimize. We don't go by what others have achieved. We keep saying we are unique individuals, but do we really believe that? We don't. We keep comparing. So it's so kid has learned this from that teacher. I'm going to put my kid also. Maybe that teacher will finally teach my kid how to chew food. We keep trying, of course. Every skill is important. We need to differentiate as our kids grow, which are the skills that we want to bring in our children for quality of life. That's most important. My son with an IQ of 55 is today a married man. And he's the only one who's known as a person with intellectual disability in our household. He's the only one who reads the papers, by the way. And he sends me messages through the day. He has this thing called Daily Hunt on his thing, and he sends me all important things that are happening, many of which he doesn't understand. But it lends dignity to his existence. So when we think of what is it that I'm going to help my child to learn, the main objective is the dignity of existence. My kid is 7 today or 9 today. He's going to be 15, he's going to be 25, he's going to be 38, he's going to be 52. What is she going to do then? How is her day going to be when my child of today is a middle-aged woman tomorrow? So maybe is there cooking, gardening, reading, going for walks, looking after pets? I don't know. I mean, there are trillions of things. So a major part of what we do with our children today is to bring in an enhancement of life quality. We harp on independence. I understand, doing things for yourself is important. But how independent is each one of us? We get things done left, right, center for us. So let's not harp on independence. Let's understand the word. If my child has, if I feel that my child is going to be able to wash his backside after going for potty, okay, let me do it because it's a question of dignity. Today he's a baby and I do it for him or somebody does it and it's part of the game. Tomorrow is going to be a teenager and then a grown man. Let me try, maybe work things out. So everything is connected to dignity of human existence. And out of all that, if there are signs, if there are elements that I see that, that can be later formalized into degrees, into certifications, that can lead to monetization of that work, well and fine, good. But we live in a world of sharks. Selection, the best of us get rejected. So no matter how much we, whatever we teach our kids and they get good at and all, at some point of time, there'll be rejection. How's my child going to deal with that? So the parenting or anything, any engagement with our children is not about achievement and performance. They are not the things to celebrate, really. Empowerment, yes. Validation, yes. Diffusing an already very tense situation, yes. Extremely important. finding me time, finding more answers to who are you. Very important. And we do all of that so that we are better service providers for our children. That's the ultimate goal. Yes. If anybody would like to say anything or ask anything.
Ma'am, I have a question. So when you said they have sensory issues and I mean they sensitize, they do understand emotions and all of that. Yeah. So can you please elaborate a bit about that? Because like last week, I could just resonate whatever you just told me. So I was upset for something else. So he really he picked it up so beautifully, and he was all confused why I was upset. Of course, I was not upset for him. It was a different reason. So someone in my family passed away, and I was grieving that. So I could just see a meltdown in him. So you gave a bit of hint about that. So can you elaborate a bit on that?
Absolutely, Anjana.
And how we should, in that case, like there are situations where we actually we are in grief, and we may not be feeling good some days. So in during those days, how do we carry our emotions so that the child is not affected by our emotions?
Right. So that's a great point to bring up. So the earliest that you can, you start building this very wide platform of experiences for your child. You know, a lot of the ASD mind kind of works on patterns. So the more limited experience that we expose our child to, the more closed the child's world is. So from as early as you can today, you build a possibility of Amma is sad today. She needs to rest. Or she needs some time. So today we will do the quieter activities. Or today you will probably spend a little more time with Appa. And Amma will be better tomorrow. You can build your own. So these are what the world calls social stories. They're just 3-4 sentences. You put the child in a real life situation and you use 3-4 sentences to create that situation and what will happen. Predictability is important for our children. They need to know what's going to happen. That's the anxiety part. So Amma is lying down. She will get up at 5 o'clock and then we will go for our walk. Till then, I know it's a different schedule today. Amma is tired today. The reasons maybe can be brought in at the next level. When you see your child getting comfortable with a different possibility, okay, this also can happen and I'll manage. That's when you start associating the sense of emotion to a possible cause. And that association starts building in your child. It's a long-term thing, but it's extremely important for you to be different on different days, for your child to understand that that's how the world is. You cannot be the same every day. But yes, you have to bring in predictability of that to begin with. You have to bring in possibilities. Like I would always suggest to parents, then when you make your schedules with your children, there should be a few columns where there are slashes. This or this brings in choice, decision-making, ability to express preference. But your possibilities, the choices should always be something that you can sustain. Like let's say you've put in a breakfast menu and you've said Tuesday, uttapam or idli. So for you, both should be possible. and your kid makes a choice. Similarly, for emotions, for activities, for paths to take to go to places, slowly bring in the slashes and everything. Your schedule can start with fixed things in, let's say, 9 out of 10 boxes, and one box has a slash. Within the next 2-3 months, it moves into 2 boxes with slashes. So you build that ability in your child. That is empowerment. That's what I was talking about. And when they sense you to be tired or to be different, you validate that. Yes, you've got it right. Today, Amma is slow. She will be fine with some rest. You validate. That builds trust, that builds power, that builds a sense of control in your child.
Got it, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, this is Shyam.
Yeah.
My question is like when you said about predictability and all, we do actually try to implement a schedule to him and make it more predictable so that my kid is at the age of 3. So he needs more predictability of that sort. If suppose if I don't provide that to him, so he goes into more tantrums. So I feel a bit to provide more proper schedule so that I can be, away from that burnout of his tantrums. So like when you tell like this transition is required. Typically, at what age you are trying to say like we have to slowly transition them into like okay, not following the routine or deviating from the routine is also okay.
Shyam, it can start at any time. Like I said, when you begin, it can just be one thing. Let's say you pick up a dress to go out somewhere. And then you prepare the child for about a week, about 2 days. It all depends on child to child. That on this day, we are going to look at 2 dresses and we will point which one we want. So you're bringing in the possibility that the child can make a choice. He will probably resist even that, because acknowledging and being able to deal with something which is different is torturous for our minds. It's torture. We have to bring in it very gently, very subtly, because it is a life skill. So you start with like I said, very tiny things. And you lay off. If the resistance is major, you come back to it after some day. Tell your child. See, visualization, so to speak, in the mind's eye is extremely difficult for our children. So when we do visualization, the word is misleading. We need to concretize it. You want to go somewhere, you visualize it. So there's going to be a park there, there's going to be a fence. Before all of that, go and take pictures, make a video. You say it and you present it and you say, this is how it is going to look. And this is a picture. When we go there, the park will be bigger. You can feel the trees, you can touch them. This is a picture. So you bring in all these possibilities. And like I said, anything you do should have no agenda of learning. Don't expect a response. The receptive levels of our children are sky high. The expressive levels are at ground level. That's the discrepancy. So we presume competence, as we say, at the receptive level. There are children who read and understand like a lot of things, and you have schools teaching them 3-letter words. They're bored to death. So they kick up a fuss. And then they get labeled as like bad behavior, difficult to manage, disrupting other children. Are Baba, why are you infantilizing my child? Just because he's not saying something or just because he's stimming or whatever, which brings me to a very important point. Stimming, we can't curb it. It is my child's way of grounding herself. Flapping, stimming, going around, humming. is when the inputs are coming and that brain is desperately trying to filter. Because the brain understands I need to filter. Champa auntie is telling me lots of things, but I'm not getting it. It's coming to me in like bits and pieces. So I need to hum. And there Champa auntie says, sit down, fold your hands, look at me. Oh my God. That is life imprisonment for my child. No, 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 not at all. I tell the child, you're trying to get me. Cool. Let's do it. Go around, get back to me when you're ready for it. When I tell my children, come on, come, Champa auntie is ready with your book. It's reading time. And that's how I sit. It takes 5, 10, 8, 15 minutes. My kid goes all over. I know he's navigating the space. I know he's processing my instruction. Then he comes and sits down. And sometimes he just closes the book and throws it away. Oh, you don't want to read today? That's okay. But that's not how you say it. Close the book and you say don't want. So now I have an opportunity to tell my child that when he doesn't want something, he doesn't have to get frustrated and angry and throw it. He has an option. Every time he tells me something and I listen to him, he builds a trust. And then communication becomes effective. He tells me I don't want to read and I say, no, but this is reading time. You have to read. He starts hating me. But I do it with a disclaimer. Okay, fine. I'm not getting it. Today there's something that's making you feel you don't want to read. That's okay. But sweetheart, tomorrow we're going to follow the schedule. And tomorrow when you say no, I'm going to say we will read one line. So I already tell him what's going to happen tomorrow. And then I stay with it. So he believes me. Which is why my Bharat told me, Champa auntie, you're the only sensible person in this whole world. Yeah, he believed me. So Cham, your 3-year-old is in the infant stage. It's going to get more intense for him as he moves into his 4th, 5th, 6th years, when he's going to psychologically move out of the I, me world in which all children are till the age of 3 and move into the we and us world, which gets very confusing. So you can expect that confusion, that expression through his behavior. All he's trying to say is, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it. There's too much. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? So you say, yeah, I know you're not getting it. Okay, let me hold your hand and show this. Or let me come with me. Or we'll do it like this. There's no age as such. Any time is a good time. Start slow.
I have one more question. I'm sorry. I'll be meeting others time. So when you are trying to introduce your child to somebody because of his behavior, somebody tries to find he's different. How do you actually, in a very short sentences, explain to people who are really, they're not trying to hurt you or they're not trying to stare at the child, but they just want to understand what the child is going through or why the child is different. So if I want to just say in just a minute or so, what is the best way to tell so that they are not seeing my child as something really different or the reason I fear to say something about my child is because I don't want him to be seen different from others because people may feel like
that's an emotional, loving father talking. Sham, the world is going to see your little one as different. No matter what you explain, no matter what you say to them. My point here is, as you grow into your fatherhood, you have to empower yourself to not let it matter. You can tell them this is ASD and it's a sensory integration difficulty. And so you might probably see behaviors which you think are different, but that's what it is. And we are working on it. Is it curable? Can it be treated? It's not a disease. It's a type of a personality. the more confident you are, the more diffusing of the situation you are, where you move it away from that. You know, meeting somebody for the first time, explaining anything about your child is not the important thing. You know, you give that impression that, come, let's have tea and let's discuss the horrible cricket match where we lost or whatever it is. So you diffuse, you take this away, but you empower yourself by understanding that there will always be this from the world, and it doesn't matter. So the simple thing is that, yeah, ASD is a sensory integration challenge, and it, you know, makes the child, it's difficult for the child to navigate the world. So that's what you see. That's all. Anybody else?
Hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, how to handle the child when we take to, relatives' house, because we try to create an atmosphere at home, like a structure. But when we go like to relatives' place, it's like out of control. Do you have any tips to?
See, why the child is out of control is that it's a brand new environment. Like I said, your child's behavior in the relative's house is his communication to you that I am not getting this. Why is this happening to me? Why are the walls a different color? Why are the rooms in a different place? Why are there different people around us? It is just expected behavior. So if these trips are something that you have to do, it's fine. Go ahead and do it. You can have photographs of the relatives from the albums, videos, and you talk to them, you show their houses, and you say it's called a visit. We will go there from this day to this day, and you will be disturbed. It will be different, but Amma is there. Amma is the same. Appa is the same. And we will try and, make things as simple for you as possible. But yes, it's going to be tough. But yes, this is the place. Look at it. Let's get a little used to this. Like I said, the visualization, the predictability, we'll go by train or we'll sit in the car in the morning, we'll carry our food and we'll stop here. So as each thing happens, according to what you had told your child, slowly over the years, it will bring to your child an ability to manage. The discomfort will always be there. But that is the empowerment I'm talking about. Now, again, it will be different in different children. And the sensory responses are not, they're not fixed, they're dynamic. They change as the child grows. So if it begins with noise in the earlier years, your child may get very adaptable to noise and then move into, becoming very sensitive to light or very sensitive to something else. So it's dynamic, it keeps changing. So yeah, we cannot do things all of a sudden with our children. And we cannot, we cannot feel that I'm there, I'm your mama. Why do you have to feel? No, we cannot let those kind of taken for granted. Anything different. Even if you're moving the furniture around in your house, it will probably upset your kid. You need to make a collaborative. Okay, can we keep the sofa there? Probably your child will pick up the cushion and put it right back. Sorry? No. It's difficult for them. It's like I said, you have to function from a complete 100% space of understanding your child. That's your empowerment. And that will teach you on its own what to tell the world. And it will tell you to understand the level of discomfort that your child is going through. If it's really way too much, it's not worth it. When our children are expressing intense behavior, their heart is beating at many times the normal pace. Their blood pressure has shot up. There is immense amount of cortisol and adrenaline in their bodies, in their brains. Not good. Not good. No relationship, no event, no amount of some ticket bought somewhere is worth the physical well-being of our children. As a mother or a father, you need to grow that ability to discern how bad this is. What can I do to maybe give it some time to become a little better for my child? If it's not getting better, I better move out, because my kid is going through a kind of high intense biological processes. The spleen is getting affected. The pancreas are getting affected. Not worth it. No training, no experience is worth it when my child is screaming and shouting. And I tell you, if you don't make him do it once, how will he ever learn? Then question yourself, how important is this my child's life term? I've seen schools, special schools, put the children on stage in shiny dresses with the light on their faces, music, with each teacher holding a child and doing the dance things, and the children are screaming. And the logic is that, well, they will have to do this, they will have to learn. Why? How many of us have been on stage and danced? Is that something critical to our life? It's not. At that point, that poor kid's heart is racing. Pressure has shot up. Is it worth it? That one photograph? No. We have to make our priorities about our children very clear. First to ourselves and then to the world. I don't care what you say, but I'm not letting my child go through this every day. Okay, if this is critical to life, let me see how we can grade it in slowly, 1 minute at a time, maybe. If I feel it's a skill that is like, life-threatening, I mean, my child has to learn to get up on stage and dance, okay, fine, let me take 10 years. And I'm not, believe me, I'm a parent, right? So I'm not putting a blame on anyone here, but we live our aspirations through our children. And when we can't do that, we get pretty desperate. We make it very important. Step back, attain objectivity, and analyze. Sitting tolerance, looking at the eye, not stimming, going for something, not going for something. Definitely everything is important. I'm not saying it's not. But how quickly to do it, when to do it, in what way to do it, those are in our hands, right? It's not a life and death situation. But my child's heart rate, temperature, pressure, spleen, brain, cortisol levels in the brain, adrenaline levels in the blood are all very, very important things. And they're real things. My worst fears when I see a child in a so-called meltdown is, oh my God, this kid's heart is galloping. I have to do something just now to bring down that pace. How long will that heart hold out? This kid is going to be barely in his 20s when he's going to have a heart issue. It's being so stressed at the age of 5. How will the heart sustain and survive? I can't do this. So we have to make our choices. We are parents, right? We have to make our choices. Nothing is etched in stone. Nothing is there in our child's life that is like a must and we can't do without because everybody does it or others are saying we do it. Let me take a call myself. So engagement, meaningful engagement, engagement that enhances the dignity of life, a long sustained thing in my child's life. My goal as a parent is my child should grow up to become an individual who respects himself or herself. And when that happens, the world will respect him. I do not expect understanding from the world. Not possible. It's not my goal or my job to teach everybody everything. What I can, I will, in simple, clear terms to the people around me. And I will work on my own empowerment. I'll take time off. I'll give that little respite that my brain needs and my body needs so that I'm in a super condition for as long as I need to be. That's my job.
Champa ma'am, actually, when we announced this webinar, there was a question and the parent wanted to remain anonymous. How do I recognize a burnout when it's happening to me? I always am stressed. So where do I know? When do I know that it is a burnout and I need to do something?
You will sense a burnout in yourself, an approaching burnout, when you sense higher levels of irritability, frustration, bouts of crying. Sometimes it's unspoken, but a sense of anger towards the child, anger towards the spouse, which is also making you feel very guilty at the same time. These are all unspoken, unsaid, kind of unexpressed. And physically, fatigue levels higher than usual, just wanting to go away somewhere. And that was something I wanted to tell you guys. Oh, give the phone to Baba. Shotu had called. It's very important that he talks. Keep it with you. Physical fatigue levels are always an indicator. But like you said, since we are always tired or feeling tired, but we can be a little more alert to, just not wanting to do things, wanting to go away in my head, just want to go away somewhere. So these are all indicators of approaching burnouts. Especially getting more perturbed, more irritated, more frustrated, more disappointed with an everyday thing. Okay, I'm like, my kid eats with a spoon and then keeps poking the food with his fingers and then again spoon and fingers. And like every day it happens. Every meal it happens. Every day it happens. No. But suddenly, like over a period of days, I just find this so irritating. Why does he have to poke the food with his fingers? So now I know that I'm getting out of control. I am getting out of control. Lay back, sit back, walk, go read that novel, go doodle something. That's how you know it. And we keep getting into these phases, all of us, all parents. But the idea is not to let that take over. Once it takes over, we are lost. We will head right, headlong into depression, anxiety, clinical medication, blah. Just the last thing that my child needs. And
Yes.
as long as I'm part of this group, talk to Champa. Just call Champa. Champa, I'm getting angry at everything. Okay, fine. Come, let's go for a movie. That's kind of a thing. But I mean it seriously. Call, please call. Please call. The more hands we hold with each other, the stronger the community is, the more empowered we are. United we stand.
Yeah, I had a question, Champa.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a therapist, speech therapist, and this is a very close friend of mine who I totally see burnout to a point where she doesn't want to. She's a dear friend of mine, and she moved countries now. They do everything for their 15-year-old son. And they change schools and everything for he's a very high functioning, very cognitively high, so he's in a place now where I think he feels, as you said, he's just there are so many children around him who are much below his level. So what am I doing here? At the same time, he cannot function in other places, and it's a little, I wouldn't say that they are not wise about it. They're very wise about the whole situation, and they're making good decisions. But now they're gone to the new place, and he is just shut down. Like he's in a, not wanting to speak, but they really tried to do the whole emotional parenting, learning to have conversation. They reached a good stage where they got a lot from their teenage son. They used to have full conversations in the evening. So now her son is completely shut down, and she has reached a point when I talk to her, like, I feel so bad for her because she's like, I don't know what more to do, and she's blaming herself. But I know she's at burnout. I mean, I want to speak about even autism. She doesn't want to hear. So, just tell it, I don't want to join another group. I don't want to try this. Like, she's so tired of everything. So, what would, do you have someone like a counselor, or I missed the first part of your talk, which I will hopefully look at the recording. I'm so sorry. But is there some person or she can speak to about this? I feel first to heal her because she's really in the dumps.
Absolutely. Vanya, this is a classical example of what I was referring to a little while earlier, that the disappointment or the sense of fear and anxiety about the future and the present that this particular mother has harbored in her heart has been transferred to the young man. Right. And he's 15 now. He's already in that stage where there will be turbulence of hormones, and there will be emotional confusion as it is. And the shutdown of the boy probably indicates that he's taken it from the mother. He's imbibed it, that things are really not good with me.
Yeah, actually, she recognizes that too. She said, maybe, because they have spoken about this, like where he is feeling what she's feeling, like, because maybe she's feeling that, oh, they made the move and now he's still not adjusted. So he's feeling guilty. The boy is feeling guilty that he made them move all the way to another country and now he's not happy. Maybe I cannot show that to my parents. So he's feeling like, so she's feeling like her fear is in him now, whatever she's feeling, he's feeling because of, but she can't help it. She's like, what can I do? This is in me. I feel like he reads my thoughts all the time. And, I don't know what to do about it, like she can't make herself feel happy about it when she's down is what.
Yeah, that's really sad. So they're not in India now, is it?
No. They are in the UAE. And, so I was wondering whether there is like some person even online, if she can talk to, because she recognizes these things of her feeling being, passed on to him. But she's like, I don't know what to do about it. I can't be happy, or I can't make myself happy, I'm feeling.
You could always share my contact and let me see if she's willing to just have a chat with me or something. Let's see if something can, see, while I have an innate belief that no situation is like, irreversible totally or whatever. But of course, there are situations that are more difficult than others. So we need to have that reality bite. But let's see, we can definitely try. Just try sharing my number and see if she's willing to
I'll
just.
do that. I'll do that.
Okay.
And also, I have another, if I may, I have another boy. He can, I have tested it in all ways. He can read my mind. I'm not joking about this.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
I don't know if you all have heard, I have put this on another group, and they said I got some feedback that it is very rare someone came across an article in a book like about 7-8 years ago about this. But believe me, he's 15 and he is reading my thoughts. And when I asked him, he types, he said, I can hear your thoughts.
Oh, yes.
So I said, you can see or you can hear my thoughts. And he very specifically said, I can hear it. And when suppose I'm eating, like, if I'm biting a chip, it's literally interrupted. He cannot hear it because I am biting a chip. So it's that. I'm not joking. I have tested it with my family members who he obviously doesn't know. Like
Oh, yes,
very, very
all of our
different.
children can read our thoughts because thoughts are words. You should
No,
read.
but they can hear it. They can hear it.
Yeah, thoughts are words. We are speaking them in our head. Of course.
So it's something
See,
that
the
is
child
common.
uses the word here because it's associated with that. See is a visual thing, right? So the sense.
No, but Champa, when I say here, I mean the exact word. Like I just went up for my session because I was telling my son, don't watch too many screens. And he doesn't, this child at my session doesn't know my son at all. So he actually said his name and I said, okay, what, like we have a conversation before we start the session. And I'm like, how you're feeling? Tell me about your day. And I said, okay, let me see what I did before I came here. And he said the exact word, that he's watching too much screen, my son's name. And, I was so shocked because it's the exact words, in my head. So
any cognitive activity in the brain is an electrical impulse. And
correct.
Yes, so there are many individuals in this world who are able to pick up those impulses and translate them into whatever interface that's, it suits them. So
I don't know, like with my friend too, I don't know if that boy is reading her mind or, things like
whether or
that.
not it's to this extent, like I said, what is a given and what has been studied extensively is what is labeled as intuition, but the transference of our emotions is a very, very real thing. It's extremely real. So that definitely happened with your friend and her 15-year-old son.
Correct.
Right. So that has definitely happened. And now that the mother is in a more of a downward spiral, it's just getting worse for the boy.
So
he's kind of going into a shell. So that's very true.
Yeah.
So so this little kid of yours, the student, I mean, you will have to really brainstorm about how best you can empower your kid with this kind of ability that he has, and prepare him that he's probably going to pick up a whole lot of things from people that may not be.
Yeah, because I can't imagine what he must be, because he can hear in the next room what is happening, and he's so in tune all the time.
So you need to empower him to learn how to manage. Okay.
Champaji.
Someone can mute that, yeah. No, I have also been conscious of what I'm thinking around him, because I say, wow, this is a superpower. I'm trying to make him feel, and believe me, I'm nervous if I think about anything bad too, of course. But I am so conscious around him, and his mother always felt like the same, intuitive. But the extent and the accuracy is phenomenal. It's like I nearly cried because I literally got scared, when he read exactly words of things. But anyway, what I do is I empower. I said, wow, this is a superpower. We have to see how we can. So even any ideas of how to channelize it, I really
you need to prepare him on a realistic level and say that I personally have issues with using terminology like extraordinary or whatever, because then we are actually limiting our children's ability to navigate life. It also is like a mask that it's very easy for a parent to put on, a parent who's already troubled, who's already disappointed, who's already overwhelmed. And, I have a gifted child, I have a super gifted child, and then that mask comes on, and the life of that child becomes very unreal. And anything unreal is not sustainable. Yes, millions of our children around the world have gifts. But if you were to pursue just a few cases, you will realize that they did not translate into anything meaningful as an enhancement of quality of that person's life, because they just got glamorized.
Yes, that's what I'm afraid of. And I
Just
don't,
as our
my
celebrities
intention,
don't last, if we glamorize our children because we want to, so desperately want something great to be recognized, which is not a fault, we cannot blame ourselves. We are at the receiving end all the time. Your kid does this, your kid doesn't talk, your kid doesn't understand, your kid is dumb, your kid is this, your kid is that. And then suddenly we say, oh, look how beautifully my child paints or sings or writes or understands, whatever it is. We just latch on to that. It becomes like that last straw,
Correct.
But it will not last. So we who are mothers and professionals and whatever, who's close to any of our children, we have to de-glamorize it instantly. And we have to tell ourselves, we have to tell ourselves first, great, this is a great thing that I see in my child. And okay, fine, this takes us to this place and all, but I sustain all the other things that will go through a lifetime. So we don't let the mask come on. And our children, who are patterned children, it will be poison if they get used to being applauded, if they get used to their name being in the limelight, and then one day it doesn't happen. That will be such a crash.
Correct.
Because we are dealing with people who are dysregulated. Not because they want to be, but that's how they are made. This regulation is going to last a lifetime.
So that's my thing. I want to
bring in is all cosmetic. It's on the surface. It's a process. It may crack. It will crack under unknown pressures. So we cannot let that happen.
Yes. So I really intend to.
Take it with so tell him that it's really, your vocabulary is important.
Yeah, important. Yeah, because I was so scared. I know what happened. I was scared. So
you tell him that, it's very interesting, sweetheart, how you can read, you can hear my words. It's very interesting. It's not a common, it's not a common phenomena. And a lot of times your ma'am will be, we can't control our thoughts. There are things that come to mind. And you might pick up some thoughts which you don't feel comfortable about. So that will happen with you, with many other people. So let's look at how you deal with that when you pick up a thought which is not a nice one for you. So you so to speak, you diffuse. It's all about diffusing. It is because our lives are, I'm sorry to use the word, but it's the easiest word to use. Our lives are abnormal.
Yeah.
So we normalize. By normalize, I don't mean that we push and pull and kick our children into doing things which normal children do. That's not what I mean at all. But we make things that live life on an even keel. Equilibrium is the key, because disequilibrium is our challenge. Correct. So we don't do anything with ourselves, anything with our children that escalates the disequilibrium. That's already there.
A lot of,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Champa.
Anyway,
I'm so happy to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
I'm happy too. Really nice. Yeah.
I had a question, Champa ma'am.
Sure.
I'm Pavna. So I'm a mom of twin boys.
Okay.
So what I find is that there's sometimes in life there's seismic events versus chronic drip events. You see, so I almost feel like if it's seismic event, there's a event of shock, and then you deal with it, and it sort of decreases over time. However, I find that with the dysregulation of our body, children's bodies and stuff, due to the nature of autism spectrum disorder, what happens is that I find that with my children, I always make accommodations for whatever it is throughout the course of the day, because I think their needs are very important. They have no other way of, I'm the main person who helps them regulate themselves in life. But sometimes the situation happens that, and I know, like, to a third person who comes in, they're like, how on earth are you doing this? And to me, your life doesn't seem to have any sort of structure. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot that very close, well-meaning people tell me this. And I understand that. But to my mind, there is method in my madness. It helps my children being regulated. It helps them be happy. So if it works for them, it works for them. So for everyone else, they kind of fit around the program.
Absolutely.
I don't mean it in a rude way. They understand that this is how I choose to live my life with my children, and they come first, and this is how it's going to be. It's taken a lot of learning for various family members, because they just don't understand, because 1 minute we're going somewhere, then something triggered something unhappy for a child, and they said, I don't want to necessarily go there, and I want to go later, in their own ways of communicating. So we shifted course entirely, and this happens a lot, and that's okay. What I mean to understand is, even within the course of understanding their needs, there are certain times when they, I will not say act out of character, because that's a very wrong thing to say, but maybe there is something else in the equation. So it could be sometimes maybe 4-5 things in a day I'm accommodating for their needs, but even within that environment of accommodation, there is a sudden change. Maybe it is because of time, we need to get someplace. So maybe I am sort of accommodating them, but saying, what, we need to maybe keep it for a shorter period of time. We can't do these elaborate things that we do normally. That could be one reason. But inevitably, what I feel that happens is, because I tend to reflect on it every day as to why, what, how can we do things. I tend to do that a lot. So then I wonder, like, okay, if this is, for example, for a person like me, getting out may just mean grabbing my bag, my keys, getting, changing my, putting my shoes on and leaving. For my child, one of my children, it involves 6 different steps. Maybe coming back into the house, looking for something, grabbing something. And I understand all of that. But even within that accommodation, there are changes sometimes. Yes. And sometimes when it is like 6 to 7 different things, events in a day, it ends up being a little bit of an overwhelm when there are 2 children involved with 2 different sets. They're very different as well from each other. So I'm not quite understand. My question is, I feel I am mindful to the point that it's detrimental to me even. I have been told by people. But I want to understand how I can balance being more mindful to the children, because they're not doing it. They're not acting out. They're not doing it because they want to. I want to learn how to have me even more mindful of them, while also recognizing in myself that, because sometimes you might just do something and, internally you're superficial, like, to your child, you're being very patient, to the world, you're being very patient, but, internally you're counting down to 30 because you don't want to lose your, and I do that a lot, to be fair, because I'm not naturally a patient person, but it's taken a lot. But the overwhelming thing people tell me is, I can't believe how patient you are with your children. But honestly, that comes at a lot of 1 to 30s in my mind. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Yes.
So Pavna, you've said it yourself. Yeah. So there are 1 or 2 things, like in your mindfulness, you just add those kind of erraticities, as we call them, to the children being who they are, so that you mindfully and consciously work on it not impacting you. If you miss something someday because of that, that's also okay. Take a relook at what all is being done and keep a little more time buffer, maybe, if that's a possibility, at least on some days, or some things. And when we are doing things like, life skills, grooming, etc., when we are trying to practice this with our children and trying to hope that, that they'll pick it up on their own, try to do it in the evening or the night when there's no more going out involved. So the deadline of the time kind of, so the mornings when you have to go out, you just do, put them in their dress and rush out. In the night, it's okay. Now we're going to brush our teeth. So some kid might take 2 hours, some kid might take 40 minutes. You speak out the steps. Okay, walk to the bathroom, open it, keep the thing there, squeeze it like this. A lot of mishaps will occur within that. The squeezing will be so hard that the whole tube might get emptied out, or nothing might come out, and all of this. But it's night. We are going to sleep after that, so it's fine. So we reschedule a little bit, we recalibrate our expectations, and we tell our children that Amma is at the end of her tether.
Really?
Oh, yes. How else are we going to empower them for emotional equilibrium?
I tend to just go away into another room and assign their care to someone else, because I don't like to lose control. That's what I do.
But you need to tell them why you're doing that.
Yeah.
That Amma is losing it. She's tired. She has a time schedule. It's getting upset. Don't misunderstand me, but I need you to cooperate. I'm going to step away for 5 minutes and then come back. You are the model. They are going to pick up this from you. If the model is always super perfect, they will expect the world to be like that, and they will not get it. So it's 100% and more fine. Like I said some time back, I think when we were talking about, build that wide platform of experience for your children from as much as possible. Amma can fall sick, Amma can be tired, Amma can be bored, Amma can just not want to do something someday. Amma can be sad because of other things, Amma can be frustrated. You're bringing in emotional vocabulary in an organic way into your child's life through the model that your child relates to with best. And over the years, they grow to calibrate their emotions on the basis of this model. I shout and I say, I am sorry, not done. Amma was irritated. Amma shouted. Irritation is all right. Shouting is not. When Amma is irritated, Amma is going to stop and go out for 2 minutes, calm down and come back. You're modeling what they need to do when they are irritated, annoyed, overwhelmed, upset, confused. That's what they are most of the time.
Yes.
Bring it into their vocabulary through you. The cooker whistle is blowing. There's somebody at the door. I'm sitting and doing alphabet with you. Boys, Amma is overwhelmed. Amma needs a break. Give me a minute. They model it. Amma is not throwing things. Amma is not screaming. Amma is overwhelmed. Amma is not screaming. She needs a break. 1 minute. Take the break. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Be yourself, sweetheart.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
You're a human being.
Yeah.
Go for a movie with your friend. Let the kids tear the house apart. It can always be put back.
Yeah, I don't bother about things like, yeah.
Everywhere. As long as there's this physical safety and there's someone to ensure physical safety. Go out, go for your spa, go for your shopping, go for your walk. Do everything. Be human.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a question, Karpa. I don't know if she's still online. She wanted to ask you something.
Thank you, Bindu. Yeah. Thank you, Bindu. Hi, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, you have, it's going to be 2 hours. Thank you so much.
This is my life, Kalpa. This is my life.
Thank you. See, I have a kind of an emotional situation which I'm not sure how to handle it. Okay, like referring back to your explanations on kind of insisting or taking the kid to like unpredictable places, right? So anything under the world, yes, fine. I was able to handle it and make the decision wise. Now my son doesn't want to visit my parents' house. Okay, who we have, he is now 10 and a half, and this is one place where he really loved to go and spend time. All of a sudden, now that he could express more thoughts, what he is like, it's been 2 years I have visited them. But I'm trying to give that space to him to convince, like I have whatever you were saying to Pavna ma'am, I was like emotionally also I have told him. I've even went to an extent that I cried. I really want to go there, but like for me personally, that was the only go-to place.
Right, I understand. Yeah.
Childhood memories, school and college and everything. I still
Your
have.
mother. Yeah.
So that was like previously we were going like 4 months or 6 months, maximum 6 months once, and that it used to be a big break. Okay. Now that yes, I can still get them, but then like they cannot stay for more than 3 or 4 days based on their comfort and convenience, right? Like they will not be comfortable.
Do you have any idea at all as to what's causing this?
I have tried yet number of times asking him that. We have something like, okay, whenever he is not expressive, we will ask the question and then stop the question open-endedly by saying because. Fine, okay, Kavin does not like this because. And then we'll stop it. He will take his own time, and like very rarely he may not answer immediately, but sometime during the day or when I put the question across the next time he will come up with. But for this question, he doesn't so far. And like last year has been very challenging for both of us sensory wise, and he doesn't want to, because we were also kind of pushing, stressing and all that was happening. And with my therapist help, like the last 6 months of journey, I have changed myself, the way of handling him completely, and gained the trust and the belief back.
Good.
So, and the family or the friends, they were all kind of forcing me. You take or kind of force him, don't tell him, take him there.
Take Shashank and then I'll give you snacks, please.
Yeah. Without even telling him, let's give it a go.
Go wash hands and come.
I really don't want to do that.
Go wash hands and come.
Like so hard to gain that level of trust back. It was very, like he went to an extent of hitting me.
Yeah, they'll do that.
So that was my warning point, and I kind of, okay, fine, really worked so hard, thanks to my therapist too.
Okay,
so
this is a very important thing. So Karpa, let's do something. I'm rather scatterbrained and I'm like into a million things. So I will forget my promise. Not my promise, but will you get back to me on this personally?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Definitely.
So let me put some questions together for you to consider, and then maybe we'll find the cause or the probable cause behind it, and only then we'll be able to address this. Okay, let's look at a few options. So do you get back, you have to hound me, Champa ma'am, you said you'll speak to me, Champa ma'am, so you'll have to do that. Okay, any time of the day, night, whatever.
Sure.
And I will definitely get back. Yeah,
thank you so much.
not at all. Yeah, somebody else, something.
Ma'am, I had already asked a question. So relatives' house, how to be? So yeah, I don't know if my expectation is right. I just wanted to get some clarity from you. So my son has developed the habit of eating from others' plate. Like once his dinner time is finished, he has a habit of taking from others. So at home, I have kind of brought that discipline. But when we come to my in-laws' place, it just goes out of control.
So cute.
So
he's checking out if the food on the other plate is the same as his own.
Yeah, so it'll be like he would have finished his dinner around 8:39, but someone would be eating like around 10:30. He will just, they will also offer him. They also don't understand. So I really don't know. Yesterday, the situation came and I had to be little rude, and then he hit me. I'm really worried about that yesterday.
Okay, if he
Not
does
serious.
eat something from somebody else, what is it about that bothers you?
Because I saw that the other day when we had a birthday party, my younger ones, I saw him, doing that with others, like neighbors had come home. So I was just wondering whether if it will become a kind of habit for him.
So he was going around picking something from everyone's plate and putting it in his
Yeah,
mouth?
yeah, because he finished his, he had his share. He's done with that. I don't know.
I don't think it's important enough. It is a passing phase. He's working something out. He's finding some things out.
No, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried. I mean, I'm confused if my expectation is correct or how do I handle
No,
this?
these are
Is
all
the
growing
right-
phases. He's just figuring out the world around him. And I think what you could do is, how old is your child?
He's going to be 6 in March. When I come here, it's totally, what about bonding? I try to develop at home here. In the weekend, it goes off. And they like to also visit in-laws place once a week. So it's like I cannot avoid that.
6,
But
right?
here he comes and absolutely he doesn't,
So
bother
I
with
think you
anything.
can start using a social story with him. Where you take his name. What's his name?
Lavitran.
Okay, so you take his name and you say that it's dinner time or it's food time, and there's this on Pavitran's plate, and he's finished it and he's put the plate in the sink and whatever he does, and then Tata and Aji are eating or whatever. You create that scene, and Pavitran just he sits and you create an alternative activity for that time where you sit with him and say that Tata and Aji are eating and Pavitran and Amma are doing coloring. So a parallel thing, try that kind of a social story. It will not take on immediately because he's still going to try and figure out. And we don't know the reason why he's doing that. My sense is he's just trying out stuff to see whether it's the same taste and same. It's a sensory requirement. It will blow over. But if it bothers you too much, then you could try giving him an alternative for that same time. Things like we should not do this don't work with our children. They don't work. Okay, so it's an imposition. We don't impose. It doesn't work. We try to not. We don't say no. We say, okay, let's do this. And maybe if you pick something which he's otherwise very interested in, which he's happy doing at that time, then maybe you can offer him that you finished your food and you've kept your plate. It's done. It's over. Activity finished. Now, Appa will eat or Tata will eat or somebody will eat and you will and Amma will sit and do this. Try that out. Let's see. But otherwise,
even then, if he goes, how do I talk to him back? Like, because I've already done the social story and he still doesn't.
You have to repeat
How do I?
like a million times.
Okay.
Million times for it to make any impact. Because first, he will understand it immediately, but he will keep doing it to find out whether you come back with the same response every time or not. He doesn't trust. He has to reassure himself. So we do the same response 1 trillion times. At some point of time, it hits home that, because remember, he's processing your social story related to a particular context in the middle of millions of other inputs. So it gets distorted. You have to do it again and again and again and again. And also tell yourself it's okay. It's nothing so important. A lot of kids do that, yeah.
I actually wanted that.
In my mainstream classrooms, children go steal from others' tiffin boxes, pick up food, and it's part of growing up. Nothing important. Still, he's a sweet kid.
Okay. Ma'am, also one more thing you had mentioned about this not wanting to read or, as per the schedule. So my son does that. And I acknowledge it and I tell him, okay, fine, today we're not doing this. And again, he does the same thing tomorrow. So like you mentioned, we have to tell that, what kind of consequences, because we have to explain to them beforehand.
Becomes very rigid. Consequence doesn't work. It becomes a one option. Then you will grow out of that option. So consequence doesn't work. It's just about this is and this isn't. That's all.
Okay.
It's easier to process. It's easier to retain. It's easier to follow. So like I said, Amma is angry. Amma will drink a glass of water. Amma will not throw things. Amma will not scream. Amma is angry. Okay to be angry, not okay to throw things. So we model, we give them up those options which are acceptable and doable options. Okay.
And last question, ma'am. I have a younger one who's a neurotypical, so I have made a schedule for the elder one. He was following it, but now since I don't have one for younger one, and even if I try to, he doesn't want to, comply. So how to do you have any tips like because my elder one was okay.
No.
He
I
was
meant
okay,
that
ma'am.
schedules and predictable patterns are good for any child. So your younger one maybe associates a schedule with his elder brother who has different needs. You look him in the eye and you say, young man, the schedule is for everybody. Okay? Appa has a schedule, Amma has a schedule, you will have a schedule, Anna will also have a schedule. Everybody will have a schedule. That's the way this house functions. With a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old, we don't have to explain anything. This is the way it is in our house and you will do it. But yes, if there are elements you want me to add or change, let's look at it together and we'll do it.
Okay.
Don't give choices to the little one. Never give a choice to a child that you can't sustain. Any kid. Okay? And don't let them build associations from their tiny experience of their own household that some things are for my sibling because my sibling is different, but they're not for me. Amma says this is for all the kids of the house. This is for all the members of the house. Every member eats the food and keeps the plate in the sink. Like it's like my house rule. So you diffuse it like that. Okay.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Champa ma'am, there are a few things about how to reach you after this webinar. So would you like to share your number or shall I?
Sure. I mean, you can share it on the group or I can share it here. Yeah, just a minute. Okay, wait. I need.
I can message it. Message your number, man. No problem.
Yeah, please do that because this is on some direct message thing. I'm not able to get the message everyone thing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Yeah, my number is fine.
It was probably very. I have no words to thank you, Champa ma'am. You've taken more than 2 hours now, and given us so many techniques, so many strategies to work with our kids. And I hope most of the parents who attended today and could stay till the end have benefited from them, and we can do better with themselves and with their kids. Thank you so much, Champa ma'am.
Yeah, first do better with yourselves.
Yeah.
They are your kids. You will always do for them. Not such a big deal, okay? You are the big deal. So yeah, go for your me time. Go for everything that sustains you, and then you live a better life for your kid. And reach out to me. You can talk to me, call me, message me anytime. I might take a little while to get back in the midst of a lot of other things. But yeah, just remember, nothing is ever as important as we think it is, So it's all doable. The hardships will be there. The challenges will be there. Whether we are called special needs, differently abled, special abled, all those have no meaning. It's difficult, it's hard, it's challenging. It's a lifetime thing. But well, now that it's there, we'll deal with it. Okay. It's so good to have been with all of you, and my respect and my my learnings from different mothers of different children of different ages grows every time I'm in a group like this. And literally hats off to all of you. There's so much you have to contribute to the world around you by being the mothers and fathers that you are. And keep that in your mind always, always.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for taking time today and joining the call.
Somebody called Anita has asked which group. Anita, Bindu,
yeah, I'll send her the link.
You'll send her the link, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Share my number with everybody.
I shared that already in the chat.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I hope to be in touch with all of you and more of you. So we share and we learn from each other. And that's how it goes. Let's be the village that brings up all our children.
Thank you, Champa. You're an inspiration. Thank you.
Great, great. My pleasure. So have a great rest of the Sunday and Monday tomorrow. Life moves on.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Champa ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Chalo, bye then. I'll get to see you some other time. Okay. Bye. And if we have a lot of questions and doubts and all, maybe Bindu, we can, after a gap, maybe arrange for another chit chat where we can then, yeah,
sure, yes.
we can do that also. We can collate all the questions and things that come up. And then maybe after a gap, we can have another exchange session where we share some of our experiences. Okay. Chalo, bye everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.